Okay, so the body, I just was starting a thought and I just saw myself videoing it and then finishing the thought, even though I don't know exactly what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. But the body. So I'm just opening myself up here, expand my understanding, or anchor in an understanding of things that, all the bits and pieces that, you pick up over time from a million locations, and then times of reflection like this can often connect the dots. So the body. Well, shoot, if we really want to start big, let's start with this paradigm, because it's really, I think it really works and it really fits, and I think it's really amazing. It can go a lot of directions. To me, the most beautiful metaphors for things are ones that can be extended nearly indefinitely. The ones like certain metaphors work in a one-to-one comparison, but that's it. If you try to expand on that metaphor to apply it to the subject matter, the original subject matter, a lot of times they break down really fast because things are only so similar. But this metaphor so far, whoops, almost dropped the phone. This metaphor so far, to me, goes a really long way. The more I learn things, the more it fits into this at this time. So, let's talk about the body as a spirit, soul, and body, per se. So taking that paradigm in, and my understanding at this time, that is what we are comprised of as a being in this physical realm, this 3D dimension, but we also exist simultaneously in other quantum realms, and the things you read in the Eastern traditions. You got your light body and your rainbow body and your dreaming body, and all these other etherical bodies that run at a different vibrational frequency. And so understanding that all the chakras in our body are actually resonant with nervous system, central nervous system ganglion, to the locations that they've always been said to be in the ancient traditions, but now Western science being able to unfold that or connect that to what we know of the body. So each nervous center ganglion, as I understand it, resonates with, in harmonic resonance with the color it represents, up and down. That's where you get the colors, and that's why colors themselves can be so profoundly healing, because it's an actual frequency. The color itself is an actual frequency, a wavelength of light that you're taking in, and just by receiving that wavelength, it stimulates neurologically, photonically to neurologically, electrically and magnetically into the different chakra centers, just that color. And they've known this in esoteric systems forever, esoteric being amoral. You have positive esoteric systems that are trying to protect knowledge and keep it from getting the wrong hands. Then you have the zealotous esoteric systems, light or dark, that use secret knowledge for their own agendas. And they think it's benevolent and good, the right thing for mankind, but they end up violating sovereignty, freedom of will, and freedom of will. That works, I guess. And that can become just as toxic, and is just as toxic as extreme dark, malevolence, and not caring at all about who they hurt or steal from, as long as they're getting their agendas met. Because both those extremes are not the light and the dark that's described in the ancient texts and in just psychology, if we're going to relate everything to something going inside of us. Because everything, as I understand it, exists in us and outside of us simultaneously, that we affect each other. The reason, well, if that's true, why can't I just say, I want an ice cream cone, and it shows up? Because that does happen, by the way. Have I done it? No. But I understand how it works enough, and I've heard stories of things like that, millions of stories like that, crazy things, in all sorts of religions, by the way, not just stuck to one religion or one paradigm, because you are the placebo. Think about that shit, because that's some shit. You are the placebo. And so whatever you believe, you want to call it Allah, Jesus, myself, my higher self, my spirit guides, if you really have belief and power that they can rescue you, guess what? They can, but it's you doing it. It's you projecting you onto an external image until such a time as you can get to a place where you realize, oh, that's me. Even if it is an actual entity, a being with a name that you've given power away to, once you realize, oh, you don't have power. You've been given power. And I'm going to take it back now, because it's mine. Thank you. Ho'oponopono. The Ho'oponopono. That the concept in Hawaiian, that as I understand it, the way it resonates with me, you know, on the internet you'll find, I love you, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. For sure. It's hard with, you know, translating things from ancient texts or different cultures into English or any other, you know, singular language, because there's often so much feeling that's lost in the original sentiment. And so to me, how I feel when I hear that and see that, it's very similar to Namaste, which resonates very deeply with me. Both of those concepts as like a greeting and a greeting hello, greeting goodbye, and an acknowledgement just one to another in a moment of incredible honor. That it's something like, I honor and I see and I know and I love you as a being, and the highest and most beautiful and most honorable and most precious things inside of me bow in honor and respect to the same inside of you. And see, that the beauty to me in that is, yes, we're all one, we're all interconnected at higher levels, but we also have these very separate egos. And an ego being amoral. Egos aren't bad or good. You have to have an ego. You don't get born. You don't get born from your mother's womb and pop out a ball of light. Like you've got a family name. You know, if you were given one at birth, you've got a name that you pick up through life that people call you by. You have a name you sign documents on. You have a personality that develops over time, matures and grows. So like the ego is just to me, it's part of this DNA technology skin suit experience. The ego is the psychological technology. Yeah, that fits. The vessel through which our eternal selves that exist outside of time, broadcasting our unique signature frequency, heartbeat, and mind into time, that resonates perfectly only with our DNA. I think I don't know, for some reason I want to say it's more than just resonating with our DNA. I don't really know what that means yet, but I feel like there's something there that's not quite articulated holistically. But that's what I got at this point. So, more on the body. So, the body to me, as I've come to understand, is comprised of three parts. And to me, that I formulated this opinion through personal just insights and metaphors that work for me. I mean, shit, if you have other metaphors that work for you that achieve the same results of finding healing, wholeness, remedy, resolve inside of yourself, with yourself, you know, your own hurts and pains and traumas and fears and insecurities, and, you know, if it's Jesus that healed you and you give all that to Jesus, then awesome. Like, I have no desire or intention to tell somebody that's wrong. Well, actually, that's not really how it works. Like, I'm sharing it here because in a lot of ways, this is just like my own personal video journal that'll go online at some point. Great, people listen to it and resonate. Awesome. I'm super excited for conversations and to connect with other creator beings that are manifesting into time, here and now, to have this experience. And it's way bigger than that. I mean, it's not like we're in this beautiful, fair world that we all, in my opinion, we all incarnate exactly how we wanted to, and exactly where we wanted to, and exactly the family we wanted to. Yeah, I think it's the time that we're in. I think if you're here physically, and if you're listening to this, fucking for sure. Mom, hope you didn't hear that, sorry. But if you're listening to this, then that's definitely you. You were born for such a time as this, and the time has come that we are awaking in droves, and we're awakening to love. Real love. Not some wishy-washy, let's all get along love. Some strong, heavy, deep, beautiful, true, restorative healing, let's all get along love. Big difference. It expands all religions, all paradigms, all worldviews. Because love has to include understanding. when you understand something, you can't judge it. You can't. You realize, oh, that's in me too. If I was born in a different circumstance, or if I made different choices through my life, that would be me. If I was born in a different country, I would have been such a beautiful Muslim, because I love spirit. I've loved connecting with spirit my entire life. I love that right now, where I'm at in my process, I develop on things. I go in waves of like growth and development. I love referring to it, to he, to she as spirit, like capital S, or great spirit. And here's a beautiful term. So to me, as I understand it, as a Native American paradigm, that great spirit who resides within great mystery. Like what a beautiful symphony of understanding. Yeah. So that being a replacement term, or replacement term, whatever, a 3D matrix construct that we're in, using English words that have no meaning other than what we've memorized them to mean. And we'll get into the ancient Hebrew and other texts at some point, because it changes everything. Words have so much more meaning. I'll go on this a little tangent, but just think about it in English, for one language specifically. Everybody learned in school to cast spells. You had to correctly spell every word. And then, for the longest time, everybody had to learn their cursive, because you had to write out your spells and the correct cursing in language. And the actual, think about that. I mean, think about the difference between, Times New Roman font and a cursive text. It feels different. One is like a fluid, flowing, moving energy. The other one is like a rigid, blocky, left brain, just stamp of information. Stamp of sigils, really, if you want to think about it. Sigils or symbols. I mean, it's the same. I mean, when you break the phonetics paradigm and programs in your own brain and realize, whoa, things that sound similar, usually there's tremendously deep truths there that just unlock so much. The universe, the YOU universe, for one. So, the term DNA skin suit technology, that I think it's easier to relate to today than ever before in our remembered history. I very much think we are a species with amnesia. If I go on these tangents, this will be a very long video, and I feel like it's okay to just like save this stuff for another time to make this more digestible for most people. And myself, it's nice to stay on track or focus on certain things. Anyhow, DNA skin suit technology. That the way technology is going, I think it's easy to see how it's not long before you can build, like, way better than Sophia, the AI Sophia machine they built. I don't know if Google built it, I don't know who built it, but I mean, yeah, it's better than anything that's ever been done, but man, it is still so rigid and like sterile. I mean, the skin even is like, and the response time is delayed because of processing, and so it's not even close. But just think of the movies we've seen, different androids, and the technology gets so advanced, it's organic, or it seems organic. But organic's another technology. Think about cells. Cells are little factories. I mean, all your pieces and components, and just change out, timing belt and bottle filler and whatever's in a normal factory with the organelles and the mitochondria and the ATP and electron calcium ion channels. Like, it's the same thing. It's technology. It's just so advanced. Like, was it Arthur C. Clarke? Any sufficiently advanced technology will appear as magic to those who don't understand. Something to that effect. It's so true. I mean, come on. It's just amazing. Just incredible. So, well, what timestamp are we at? 15? This is my first one. which I don't know if I should have said that because I don't know what order I'm going to upload these in. But I guess it's a pretty good marker in time since the length of my beard, I'm missing a tooth, which I'm sure you've noticed. And it's another story for another video. Well, I'm choosing to leave it out and have for about a year now, almost a year. And I've got a flipper, it blocks me from putting the tongue to the roof of my mouth, which I do try to be consciously do all day, every day now. Because I've got a tongue tie and I found out about that, and breathing through my nose and completing the actual central meridian channel and governing channel circuit that runs through your body just when you breathe, especially diaphragmatically, massaging your organs and moving the oxygen into the lower lungs, which stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system and engages your body in a way that you just start breathing like that, like sitting in your car for just 10 or 15 seconds before you get out to go to work or to go home or to the grocery store, whatever. Do it at your desk, whatever you're doing for work, just taking the time to close your eyes, to actually really see your diaphragm descending down and making room for your lower lungs to really fill up your chest. And in the same time, moving and massaging your organs. I mean, apparently most people, their diaphragm only moves like a finger's width up and down every day, which is absurd. Like, it's not the way our bodies, this technology is supposed to function. We're supposed to function on full breaths through the nose almost entirely, almost primarily. Because there's something like 35 functions that happen in your body when you breathe through the nose that do not happen when you breathe through the mouth. And then you look at all the science on the way the diet's changed, our palate, our physical, craniosacral palate, that's narrowed our teeth and created tongue ties. Like, in one generation of these natives with perfect teeth and whatever, eating an American diet, their kids start to have these narrow palates, their mouth breathing, they have tongue ties, and within one generation, because of epigenetics. All right, we're gonna open this can of worms. No, this is good. Even if we end here shortly, it's good to touch on a lot of things. I think that's a lot to respond to, like, in a beautiful way. I'm so excited for everyone's input, except for trolls and whatever. That'll just get deleted, because this is a space for equal co-creation, to share ideas without judgment, to come together as human beings who are waking up to the fact that we are and have always been more than just flesh suits or skin bags. I hate that term because it's so dishonoring of the value and the height of technology and the opportunity that we have to be here. There's trillions of beings in the galaxy, in the universe, well, probably just the galaxy. And most of them, it seems, exist on higher dimensions and other realms, and don't have a physical incarnation anchor. And that's why it's so important that we're here. One of the main values, because we're physically anchored here, we anchor in our higher selves. We anchor in our spirit. That signal, it's broadcasting. Well, we have Wi-Fi broadcasting all the time, but you can't tune into it unless you have a router that anchors that in, or a receiver like on your phone, antenna, that kind of magnetically or electromagnetically resonates with that signal and anchors that into a device, a DNA technology skin suit, or a DNA technology, what would you call it? DNA? Atomic molecular technology cell phone? Something like that. You know what I mean? A vessel that can then transcribe that signal and project out something in this 3D world that doesn't die instantly. That exists, that persists inside of space-time, because our higher selves don't, our spirits don't. Now, that being said, that's a perfect way to segue into, and good, hopefully I didn't trail off on too many tangents, and this will wrap up the whole paradigm of how I see the human body in broad strokes. That signal is being broadcast, and it resonates with our cerebral spinal fluid. That's what craniosacral therapy and a lot of other modalities are so powerful, even though they're light healing touch therapies. And your craniosacral fluid, or the lymphatic system, that whole thing has its own pulse. And Dan Winters, and I'm trying to think of others, oh man, I forgot his name right now, but have figured out the mathematical equations down to the Planck scale and golden Fibonacci, the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence, and how the energy exchange happens between the different chakras and up your cerebral spinal fluid. And not to mention, which we will get in here for like an entire one of these, some of the old original texts, and one book called, it's by George, I forgot what his name is, Dr. George something. It's called, totally spacing on it right now. I got it right here. I'm going to pause. Okay, got it right here. It's, let's see that. It's God-Man, the Word Made Flesh by Dr. George Carey. So it is. In 1920. So these books, I printed off probably 20,000 pages in the last few years. Like archive.org has a ton of these resources. secretenergy.com, 7, Tribe, that's my family for sure. Gosh, I love those guys. There's so many resources. You can find what was originally written. And these guys understand the parallel of the body, the metaphysical Christ in you, in your body, and what happens when you allow that cerebral spinal fluid, life force energy, the nervous system, electric and bioelectric and biomagnetic energies. And I'll say it now and I'll say it other times too, and I think anyone who hears on a similar heart, you understand. I don't have to qualify too much, but these terminologies I'm using, it's something like that. I know that they may not be exactly accurate. It's part of the reason I want the dialogue. There's definitely people out there that are far more versed in certain things. They're going to be like, actually, when you said this, you should have said this and this and this. That's more accurate. Okay, awesome. Please tell me, because that's awesome. Not everybody can understand all things all the time, and we're not supposed to. That's part of the experience. There's the darkness. Oh, I got off track on that. The good darkness, the concealing and revealing. That's part of why we're here. We're not here to embody all of our experiences at once at this time. I honestly think we as a species are progressing back into that. But that's going to be decades, I think, over time. I think it's going to be very fast, but, it's still decades. Whatever that means, time's changing. And so, okay, the physiological Christ. We'll dive into it in detail. There's 2 passages in there that are fantastic. And you see one layer of truth with the Bible, the 66 books, nothing outside. If you take it metaphorically, there's profound synchronicity and consistency in the metaphors throughout all the scriptures of how these things manifest Christ in you physiologically. For example, when something we were never taught in the Western world here, that the true, healthy, life-giving sex talk for the male body at the very least, this applies to women too, it's just a little different. That seed, that life force, why are there millions of semen, of individual like semen in every ejaculation? Why? Because it's each one of those is this electric life force, bioelectric life force energy that is supposed to stay and be circulated in the body. And everybody's heard of the term, blue balls or whatever. It's a real thing. Literally, you've seen pictures of the medical terminology. They can turn blue. But it's that energy building up, and we were not taught to consciously engage our image nation within, or I'm the magic nation inside of me. The imagination to focus on, just visualizing, cycling that energy, it moving out of that lowest level of your being and starting to cycle. It's not bad that it's there, but if any energy gets stuck and forced into one spot only, it will become toxic. It's like a swamp. You have to have a constant flowing, moving fresh water on a river or into a lake and out of a lake that keeps it clean on its own in so many ways. Things can still get toxic, but it's that movement, it's a stagnation that gives place for, in a woo-woo, hippy-dippy surface level term, bad energies, to stagnate. And it's funny, when you learn the science and the technical terms for all this, now morphogenic fields work in quantum realms, and you're like, holy shit, like it's so amazingly, beautifully complicated, but it's also just bad energy. Like that is 100% accurate in the way it feels, and even just the words bad energy. Bad meaning destructive. So, okay, I'm trying to think if you'll tell me in the comments or whatever if I'd missed, like, hey, you didn't finish this thought. Yeah, there might be 5 or 6 of those. please feel free to point them out. I'm learning to refine my, I was going to say rants, but they're not rants. A rant, I feel like, is something, here's another tangent. A rant is something I feel that it's rhetoric. It's like, I know what's right, or I've decided these certain facts about this issue are the ones that matter, and that's what you repeat over and over and over, and it's like, the more you do that, the more it hinders you from seeing other perspectives, the legitimacy of other perspectives. So anyway, what I'm doing is verbally processing out loud and just being, I've wondered for a long time, if I'm going to do a podcast, like, it's got to be different. There's so many good ones out there. They're so good. So, like, honest, like Joe Rogan's long form podcast, just sitting down and having a conversation has been, dude, I think his podcast has healed the nation in so many ways. Just to get people to open up, to see people as people. Doesn't matter what their speciality is. They can just have this long conversation where that speciality is present. It just comes out organically. They're not just given a 5-minute soundbite on a news show from which you only hear 10 or 20 seconds typically, and then is used for some kind of political battle or just some other just shit. And it is shit. It's just shit. It smells bad. It stinks. It's just shit. So, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of things I do for a podcast or a channel. I think this is one of them. Just the processing things up. There's other people out there that have done this too. I've seen things like this, and they're beautiful. I followed certain channels for years that I love just when they get on and just process things, man. Everybody's got their own, life paths, their own, in this ego, again, just the ego identity of wherever you live and whatever age you are and culture you're in. Everybody's got some form of job, everybody's got some form of family and, commitments and obligations and interests and habits and negative habits, like whatever, man. We've got so much stuff neurologically imprinted too into our belief system, our tastes, our what we think is right or wrong or good or bad, or what we think is funny. There's so much stuff programmed in that it can all be changed though. 95% of everything we do every day is dictated by our subconscious. We don't even think about what actually we are doing so many times. It's so automatic. Like 5% of our thoughts are actually conscious. But when we realize that, and Carl Jung has incredible paradigms on this that are so helpful, I think. To go in, the real, he says something to the effect of, the real beauty of mankind or something is going inside to transform the darkness. Now, he doesn't make it as broad as mankind, but he talks about that it's about man. Something about going inside and transforming darkness, not constantly looking at the light and being a zealot for light and only looking at what's good and condemning what's bad, but to look at your own darkness. Look where that is you. It could be you. It was you in a past lifetime. And reincarnation's in the Bible, by the way. Not for you Christians out there. It's where I came from, and I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for the Christian paradigm and the beautiful people that are still within it that have helped me grow and heal along the way. And the teachers and the mentors and the pastors, and there's so many. Like, there's so much beauty inside the Christian paradigm. So much. And another channel for anybody who has a Christian bent towards things that's listening to this, but is also opening up to more of these deeper truths and more expanded understandings. I got my podcast title in there. More expanded understandings of everything, really, but whatever your interest is, and especially if it gets to people. Mine was people, and I wanted to understand trauma. Realizing that was really important for me to understand in myself and in my relationships, and I was in the Christian paradigm, so that was the boundaries, if you will. That's really what I was looking for, a Christian perspective on it. And I came across Dan Duvall, Bride Ministries. I still follow him to this day. I purchased most of their courses. I've been through their courses. I love that family. And obviously, a lot of the stuff I talked about in this video, they wouldn't agree with. I don't expect them to. That's okay. And just realizing it, wow, that's like the hard spot to be in when you are convinced your religion, your paradigm is the only way. You can't endorse someone like me who is honoring you and endorsing you. I endorse them wholeheartedly. If Christianity is your bent, they have profound wisdom and healing and truth and prayers. Like Dan Duvall, and through his counseling and things, he's crafted these prayers that are absolutely earth-shattering and deeply heart healing and restoring. Like, they're amazing, fantastic. I've been through a lot of them myself. Those are a lot that healed so many things in me. So, what was I going to say? Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm trying to go back to the main body paradigm, so I have that all in. Okay, this is what I think I'll end on. So this should hopefully wrap up. Yeah, I think it should wrap up my body paradigm, the triune body, spirit, soul, body. So body, DNA skin suit technology. To me, it's like a Lamborghini. We all are driving around in Lamborghinis, but the paint is all chipped on the outside and rusted out. And the inside, you've got dozens of buttons and controls that are just either smashed out of the console or they're just taped. And you didn't know what that was for, that it could do anything. And epigenetically, as we start to awaken and understand and remember ourselves, our consciousness, our memories, past lifetimes, all these things, you realize, oh, the tape comes off. Wow, that's a NOS button. Boom, and you're gone. Or that's a teleportation button. Oh, and you can teleport. And telepathy. These are all human abilities. We've just forgotten. And so it epigenetically turned off. 98% junk DNA. What a silly, arrogant statement. Well, we can't see it encoding proteins, so it must be junk. Like, really? Okay. So, depending on the environment, Bruce Lipton's work is absolutely foundational. He's the one that coined the term epigenetics in the 60s. Just changing your environment, including your thoughts, change the expression of your cells and your DNA. And water fasting, 48 hours of water fasting. Documentary on Amazon called something about water fasting. You can just type that in, I'm sure you'll find it. But it talks about they've been doing it as a healing modality medically in Russia and Germany for like 50 years, been studying it. And then they started in like early 2000s here, studying it for doing water fasting prior to chemo treatments to diminish side effects. And it does, and they find out why. It changes your epigenetic gene expression. Within 48 hours, every cell in your body, like the heart cell, the liver cell, I couldn't say every cell in your body. What they showed was your heart cell, your liver cell, the lung cell maybe. They showed 3 different cells before and after water fasting for 24 hours. They showed the actual, took the DNA sample from those same cells and showed the whole expression change. Now the cells had a shell around them, in essence, and it's like the cells in our body are like, fuck, finally he stopped eating. Now we can actually go inside and clean house. So they put up the shell and they go inside and start cleaning out all the other waste byproducts at, just even cellular and molecular levels that build up over time and cause toxicity, which leads to cancer and an inability to cause autophagy in the cells because they're just so full of toxins and so degraded in their ability to actually reproduce without, what's the word I'm looking for? Perversion. I mean, that fits, but I'm looking for a different word. When cells replicate, but they're not as good as they were before because something gets mutated. Yeah, without negative mutations. That's what I'm looking for. So the physical body's DNA technology skin suit. Yes, we can fly. Captain Marvel, all the superhero movies. We'll get into that too, because there's multiple realms of understanding and agendas going on there on higher levels, I think. But one of the beautiful ones is people are waking up to realizing, oh, that's me. That's any of us. I mean, think about it. In almost all those stories, too, they have some kind of encounter with some kind of, like, gamma radiation, and they just happen to get these powers, or some kind of, nuclear waste. But what happened? It's still them. Something in their DNA changed. And I think most of the time, I'm sure there's scientific experiments and all this other doing it, but I think built into this technology, we have the ability to do all those things. Eventually by thought. That simple, right? In the meantime, as we're getting there and transitioning in this generation, we got to detox, and we got to do heavy metal cleanses, and we got to do fasting, and we got to do juicing, and we got to do supplements, and we got to do working out, and infrared saunas, and float tanks, and craniosacral therapy, and all these healing modalities. And I mean, all that is external, and it's so important. But it has to go hand in hand with the inner work and being willing to look at your own darkness and heal your own heart. And from there, everything else settles into place. Like, really. Literally, you settle into you. when you heal your heart. Because, and I'll end with this, I got 5% left on my phone. It's perfect. The heart being the embodiment of the soul. The spirit being specific to this incarnation, in my understanding, that resonates with this specific cerebral spinal fluid, this being. It's kind of its own. It was also created at the moment of conception or somewhere in that realm. Okay, I had to let my phone recharge, died on me before I finished, so, which actually works out because, all right, so I had time to look this up because the thought came to my mind and I wanted to understand it better. So, the heart, ending with the heart. The heart isn't a pump, as we've traditionally been told, and they know this now. If you just YouTube, the heart is not a pump. There's several really good, like, mini documentaries and things put together. One by A Plain Truth does an excellent job really piecing a lot of stuff together, but he's got a really good one on it. And it's actually a single muscle tissue that wraps around itself, and it's got 7 or 8 layers, but they're all at a golden ratio to one another as they wrap around. And the heart, it doesn't pump, it twists. It's this focal point for this twisting, vortexing, interdimensional, infinite, recursive, fractal implosion source that with every heartbeat, the soul inhabits the body to an extent through the blood. Now this fits with ancient religious texts in the book of Leviticus and the Bible, because that's my particular area that I really dove into to come out of, ironically. Yeah, because you dive into your, well, it fits, right? Because you dive into yourself to come out of anything and everything that you would identify as self that's really material, that's not eternal. That has to do with understanding your identity. Now, part of our being and our point and our being in time, we have an ego, we have things to do here and responsibilities and priorities, but those things becoming more heart-centered and heart-based and letting go of the shoulds and the expectations. I love the thought of stop shoulding all over yourself, you know? I love that. Okay. So that focal point of the heart, and you've got your 2 electrical nodes too that pulse and connect. And it's also infused in the heart, and you get the blood that's been depleted of oxygen and infused with oxygen. That's as we breathe. It's like this beautiful combination of heaven and earth. Through the electrical, you've got this counterpart magnetic breath of oxygen exchange through its own, because it squeezes down through spaces that in the alveoli and different places in the body as the blood moves through. Less than a capillary, a single blood cell has to squeeze through. And it's the same thing. It's the same, like, you get down to this quantum level of a transition of some kind of interdimensional connection from spirit to matter. And that's every breath, and every heartbeat. Keep us incarnated here. I mean, just, man, see, the more you learn this stuff, it's like the more, for me, I cry about a lot, because I'm just so grateful for everything, and for the air, and for, it's like you've had a near-death experience or something, you know, that people who are like that, well, it's like, they must, I imagine, on some level, they understand this internally. They've experienced this because of the NDE, near-death experience, or an OBE, or a DMT trip, or ayahuasca, or, you know, a lot of these things, psilocybin, all of it. It's so amazing because I've studied all those things, and I've heard the stories and the experiences, and they've resonated so deeply with my heart. I haven't done any of those things yet, and I am soon. I actually have my first 2 ayahuasca ceremonies coming up here in Barbados with Universal Citizen Retreat Center through via Andrew Bartzis and galactichistorian.com. He's on YouTube too. But I'll be out there here in the next less than 2 weeks. So actually it's really cool to get a video in of all these things. This is before I've ever experienced any kind of hardcore, you know, hallucinogen or entheogen or whatever. And so, as we begin to honor and purify the body, honor ourselves as masculine and feminine internally, and the true, I do this with one hand because I'm holding my phone, but my understanding, the true purpose of Namaste and of that symbol, you know, of 2 hands coming together in the middle and then coming to the heart. You've got your left and right brain coming one and down into the heart, and the seat of the heart being the seat of the soul. And I'll end with this. The pineal gland is the only gland and the only structure, as far as I understand it, began to study the brain, that is both saturated internally with blood and externally saturated within the cerebrospinal fluid. Fuck, isn't that amazing? It is the point of inner perceiving, the imagination, the nation of imaging within, connecting us to our soul. And the soul, this is what I was going to finish, the spirit is singular to this incarnation. We've had many spirits with our many various bodily incarnated forms. But the soul is the cloud. It's the cloud storage system for this I am presence now, and every I am presence I have ever been or ever will be. It's there outside of time. It's all this collective consciousness of specific to me. And so through meditation, through that stillness, and I didn't even get to the metaphor really that I was trying to get to, that's so cool. And I guess I'll do that in the next one. It's understanding our heart as the metaphor going, our heart and the processor on a CPU, and using liquid nitrogen cooling to bring it to stillness and allowing infinite energy flow. And anyway, we'll get there soon. But also this, I guess I'll end with this too. And a shout out to Frank Castle, because he brought this up when we were talking on the phone yesterday. So Shazam, as just a precursor, that's what I looked up actually before I started this recording again. So awesome. So Shazam protects the Rock of Eternity. And the Rock of Eternity is the center point for all magic on Earth. Okay, the Rock of Eternity is the heart in this metaphor I'm making right here. And he can only leave it for 24 hours before he has to return. But there's times stored in there and locked away in there are the 7 sins. And the 7 virtues are allowed to be free on the earth and to operate through men. But that changes at times. There's times that it's called the Rock of Finality, when these evil beings or agendaed beings take it over, where the 7 virtues are locked away and the 7 sins are allowed to be free on the earth. Now think about it, that's the heart. That all comes through men. That's Christ in you and Christ in me. And the Bible says those who choose to submit to the leading of the Spirit, just as the Spirit, and I'd say to your own spirit, these are the fruits that you'll see in people's lives. And Jesus said we'll judge them by their fruit. And he said the fruit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. All these things, it says against these things there is no law. There's no law against them. Follow the Spirit. Follow your spirit. It's more than just your conscience. That is part of it. But the conscience is this very convoluted construct that the pure intentions and perspective of your higher self is trying to come in and show you things, good, bad, or otherwise, to guide you, lead you. And your ego, your programs, religious programs, or just traumas are the ones that fight that, or there's a conflict there, or they get scared by this, or they don't want to do that, or they think that's wrong and it's not wrong, but you don't know any better. That's what we're healing. That's what we're bringing into coherence and into love. And the ego, I love this paradigm. The ego is it's just like a child. It's just a child. The ego has never existed before you were born. I was born. This I am ego it's a first. So it's experiencing everything it's experiencing. Now, it's tied to our spirit or soul, and there's other dynamics there, but it's just a child. It needs to be loved, not beaten into submission. It needs to be honored the way that a little child, I've done work with Royal Family Kids Camp. Oh, my heart. For the most abused and neglected kids in the nation. And when you learn the psychology behind trauma and abuse, man, it changes everything. That is original sin, by the way. There's not much I say is an absolute. Honestly, this isn't an absolute. I can refine this, and maybe this will develop at some point. But man, this one sunk in heavy the more I understood it and studied it. It's not that anyone's born, because I remember pastors would say at times, because I've been to church my whole life, to prove as anecdotal evidence that original sin exists. We're born into sin. We're born basically going to hell unless you happen to die before the age of accountability. And then pastors all have different theories about that because it's not clear in the Bible. But they all generally agree you still go to heaven. But once you're accountable, anywhere from 7 to 12-ish, depending on your denomination, well, then you better choose Jesus at some point because you're going to go to hell if you don't. And here's the amazing thing. That's true on a very physiological level. Choosing the things of Christ, the character of Christ, the name of Christ. It's not just praying in Jesus' name. In Hebrew, it's Shem, it's character. If you pray anything in my name, in my character, it will be done for you. The upper chakras and then the lower chakras, even being just metaphors, but there's scientific realities there. But to take control of base impulse natures, to be demonic is to be reactive. To be Christ consciousness is to choose. To be Christ inside of you, to have the upper chakras in balance with the lower ones so that you can actually pause the lower ones a little bit so they don't just react and screw things up, and connect them through your heart to your mind and your understanding and this beautiful rainbow of mix of colors that you express every color at the same time, even if you're focusing on expressing beautiful, sacral, creative energy. But it's still mixed and it has access to every other color because you've interconnected it and pulled it into the heart. Man, amazing. And that comes through loving yourself, loving yourself like a child, loving the parts of you that are scared, like honoring every single part of you, every feeling, every emotion, every part. Man, things began to really turn around for me internally at an entirely new level when I would just pray over and over again, and when I, going to breathe and meditation, I want every part in me to know that you are honored and you are loved just because you exist. And you are valuable and you have the right to speak and have your perspective and your say. And the way I visualize this is each of those parts, the anxious little Aaron, the scared little Aaron, the terrified little Aaron, the traumatized little Aaron, the emotional food addicted Aaron, like all these parts. I see them as their own me's. And when I really tune into each one, a lot of times they'll take on the form of the age that I was when those were originated. Time when even up to, like the third trimester in the womb, and they've already been able to prove scientifically. Now I think it happens even earlier than that. You can have soul trauma as you're trying to incarnate into this body that carries on into the fetus. But they've already shown the neurological trauma that can carry on and be picked up by babies in the womb at the third trimester, especially up through the age of 2-ish, where they're primarily in a delta brainwave state, and that's when they look like they're like staring off into other dimensions, because they are, quite literally. And their brain just imprints. It just takes it in. The epigenetic expressions they mirror, the mirror neurons, they mirror their environment. So if mom is super stressed out or dad's never around and your mom feels abandoned, you feel abandoned. Like it imprints on your neurology, and it creates an outlook on life where everything is going to work out. This is just base level understanding. Or everything at some point is going to fall apart and you're constantly in fear and in a sympathetic nervous state system. And that's what trauma does, man. And the systems of domination and control know this, and they've cultivated into our culture, and it's only took a few generations. Where are the oral historians? Where are they? Where are the grandmothers? Where are they? And they were systematically destroyed intentionally so that only the global media news system is our colloquial oral history. Think about that. And that shapes our epigenetic expression. That shapes when you kill all the ancestors that remember that certain Native American tribes were able to shapeshift in other tribes around the world. Eliminate all them. Don't ever put that in the textbooks. Those are just myths, Those are just stories of the Avengers, and those are just stories of superheroes and comics. They're just myths. They're nice to think about. That's not real, though, right? But hey, it is real. It's epigenetic expression, and then when it's passed on, imagine if I've got to end here because I could just do this all day. Because all these things are so beautiful, and they're so interconnected. And they're so worth talking about. And I know just by talking about them, whoever hears this is supposed to hear it, and that it will trigger epigenetic activations inside of you to think about things you've never thought about before in that way, and provide a space for healing and for resonance with different aspects of your own spirit and your own soul and your own spiritual entourage, angels, and all those things that ultimately, I think in a massive part, a lot of them are just you. We just project out of us as an angel. Like when I integrated with my guardian angels that I've known by name since I was 18, holy shit, that whole paradigm went to a whole new level. And that was before I understood like cerebral spinal fluid and all that. I just knew I had this understanding, this visualization of integrating them into my spine, like my being in that way. And that was before I knew any of the science behind it. I knew that would work. And so then I learned the science, and I look back and I'm like, holy shit, that really makes sense. No wonder, because everything spiritual is also physical. Everything. Okay, so I think I can end there. And I just want to clarify the last of the Shazam, the rock of eternity, is the human heart. The source of all magic on earth. And there's so many other metaphors and analogies, but that's certainly a beautiful one. It fits wonderfully. I often end things with my audio journals that I do that are like identical to this. This one, I just have a slight awareness that this is going to be public, so there's subconscious levels running like, careful what you say, don't swear too much, don't like whatever, these little things going, but pretty much the other audio journals I have are nearly identical. It's me just processing out loud, articulating, interconnecting as I'm thinking, feeling things, expressing things. And I think this is beautiful. I think it's a beautiful way to exchange information, just beautiful. And especially having safe places to post things like this. Because I imagine I'm going to be posting this probably in the I Am We Are Fearless group. Because out of all the groups I'm connected to and on different things, that one seems to me to be the most on board with at least holding space and honoring these types of perspectives and processings. Because all these things are, fuck, man, there are a lot of them, it's like wet cement. They're paradigms that work and fit to an extent, but then they get refined, they get altered, and you have better paradigms, you have better metaphors that work better. And to have a community to refine each other on and develop those, and to move through paradigms, and then to be able to adopt multiple paradigms about the same truth. Man, I love doing that, because you can meet people where they're at. You can really love people and really speak their language, really at a heart level. Even if you don't get into some deep esoteric like knowledge on stuff, just one-on-one, the person you're with, showing kindness and empathy and meeting where they're at, whatever they want to talk about, and whatever level, being able to use all their own terminology, no matter what upbringing they have, to use all their own at a deep level, It's so beautiful. What a beautiful opportunity. As frustrating as it is to have to use English, it's like, it's like big parts of me want to do this video in just a light burst from my heart. Just, this is I love you, and sign language. It's like big part of you just wants to just, boom, just transmit that heart-to-heart connection. That's to me, as I understand it, that's actually above and beyond telepathy. Telepathy is more just kind of purely mind construct based. But that heart-to-heart connection, man, that's what we were made to do. Shazam, right? The rock of the heart. And all magic originates in the heart. Like, dude, yeah. Fuck, yeah. Beautiful. So, I think I'll end it there for now. And the next thing, one of the things I'll get into in a future thing, is comparing the heart to, if I said this already, I don't remember, the CPU of a processor of a computer, yeah, all that, and the RAM and the hard drive speed and the different ways that it's like our spirit coming through our body, and the more we heal our body, the more it's like pouring liquid nitrogen on the CPU, on the analogy. You are allowed to pump through more electricity, more arc, more spark through the heart, more of yourself into the rest of the system. And that's where I think taking things like Aya and doing the Hero's Dose mushrooms, 5 grams plus all that stuff, it's just like, it's like pouring liquid nitrogen on the CPU, allowing you to experience in your physical body, in your organs. Like, dude, when you find out too that your organs, and even every cell, if we really want to get into it, let's start with organs, they're their own pocket dimension realms inside of you with your own signature frequency that, like, it's a whole nother thing, man. So those experiences are these beautiful moments, and that's why it's so hard, I think, it seems to me, having not had any yet, for people to really, like, bring back into words all these things that they experienced and, like, understood, and, which totally makes sense. It's just like your computer with the liquid nitrogen is running faster than it's ever run, and, like, all these parts and components of the computer are freaking the fuck out. It's like, holy shit, like, this is incredible. Like, there's so much going on here, and we're so interconnected. Now the RAM, and which is being an organ in the body or something, found out that it has a foot. Like, it didn't know that it was connected to a foot because it's never had that much power going through it. And there's this beautiful interconnectivity and understanding. And then that the liquid nitrogen at some point, the Aya, the psilocybin, the whatever, it begins to wear off, and you're left with whatever you can fit in your RAM, random access memory. It's the easily accessible memory. Everything else goes back into hard storage in a sense, so it's there, it's accessible. But yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just, the more I'm getting close to my ceremony, I'm like, holy shit, what the hell am I going to experience? Like, so many of these things I've learned to understand with no psychedelics. I don't know. I'm just so excited. I really, here's my intention in this. And if you hear this, you've made it this far, please join me in my intention. I want to connect to my body so badly. Like, the last 4 years now since this all really began for me, really waking up in this way, it's all been from the heart chakra up. It's been beautiful because my heart's been in it. It's not just this arrogant knowledge. Like, everything that I've learned, I see how it's for love, and how how understanding these systems and what we've forgotten allows us to love so much more deeply. And so my heart's very much been in it. But due to my life dynamic and circumstances and Adderall, which I'm off now, which was definitely a catalyst, a positive catalyst in learning all these things, because your higher self will use any tool it can get for times and seasons. And I've been off that for 2 months now. So to pull that all down into my body and to allow things to really be felt and allow things to really be healed, like real root and sacral, creative, and like ego, solar plexus areas, like, and to embody this understanding in entirely new ways. So I want to learn to operate fully from the heart down. That's what I want. And so that's what I want when I experience Aya and that. I mean, that's a general intention. I'm already set to just submit to the experience and submit to the lessons and the teachings and whatever it is I see, And I'll set to, whenever, as soon as possible, make sure I record everything, do another one of these, or, something where I can just get it all out and process and flow as soon as I can after the experiences. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I think all of that is beautiful because, fuck, it just is. It's just beautiful. You're beautiful. Every single one of us is beautiful. Like, we just haven't realized it yet. Einstein, well, I don't know, shit. Quotes are attributed to Einstein like fucking anything and everything that's heady, that's said scientific-wise. Einstein said it, apparently, but whatever. He said it or someone else said it, and that's good. That's another thing. Truth is truth, and goodness is goodness, and resonance is resonance. Who cares who said it? Who cares what the source is from? If it resonates with you, it doesn't matter at all. Why would it? And he says something to the effect of, I'm going to butcher it. It's something like, if you're, I'm so going to butcher it. But the idea and the principle is, everyone's a genius, but if you're told your whole life you're only a fish or something, but you're really a bird, something like that, and you find out you have wings and what they're for, but you've tried to pretend you don't have wings, you've never even flapped them because everybody just told you you're a fish. I don't know, something like that. So basically, everyone's beautiful, everyone's a genius. It's just learning and discovering what that means for you, what that looks like, and what that looks like in different seasons, because it develops. You know, it's not like I don't think most people are called to do and to be one thing in this life. I think it's many things, and it's a progression and a development. And the other side of beautiful that I love is, a man said to me once, and it was just so deep when he said it, and so rich. He said, beautiful to me is when someone has become healed enough to help others heal themselves. Beautiful. And Selah, pause, and reflect upon these things. So Selah.